Hello, everyone, and welcome to Silverline Silver Sunday. I think I am going to move that. There's just three of us. Going to move it down into the. I can figure out where it's at here. All right, there we go. On this February. Oh my gosh, February the 2nd,
I know.
2022. So we're going to have an awesome night tonight. We're down a few bodies. We're not sure where some of them are. So hopefully they're just sleeping late and will pop in when they wake up and join us. Either that or our topic tonight scared them away.
Oh, maybe. Everyone's afraid.
I know.
It's like,
Afraid of Roberta.
Wait, that's right. I'm afraid of Roberta. No. So
I don't think I made it too bad.
No, I love the picture too. The for the thumbnail.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was good.
I didn't realize you were doing it, and BJ said, "Oh, you're gonna love these pictures Roberta sent." I'm like, "Pictures for what?" I'm like, she goes, "Oh, the thumbnails." I'm like, "Oh, really cool." And then she showed them to me. I'm like, "Oh, those are good. I like those."
It's fun.
Yeah. So what a shout out to our sponsors, Daytona Beach Comic Con coming up this September. Make your plans. It is the best comic show in the area. It's if you like comic books, it is a comic book show. There's lots of shows around, lots of good shows. That's not what I'm saying. But you can go if you want to see the fourth zombie from the back and The Walking Dead. You can go do that at lots of other shows. But Daytona Beach Comic Con is a comic book show. So make your plans to attend it now. You got plenty of time, lots of weeks between now and then. Shout out to Orlando Collector Deviants. They're probably at a show right now. Probably Orlando local. They are a family of fans, and they go around and they promote fans. No, they don't promote fans. They promote they promote shows. They are fans that promote shows and comic book creators like us. So they're big supporters of Silverline, and we appreciate them. Next week, I know that John Crowther and I will both be at Olo in Orlando. And so come out and see us at Olo. Bring your comic books to have signed, or even better, slab those and then come get new comic books from us, and we will sign them for you in person.
Well, how much do you charge for signatures?
You know what? I've really
$5?
thought
$6?
long and hard about that, and I know that there are some in the industry who who really get worked up about that. But if you have a comic book that was written by me, I will sign it for free.
Woo.
For free. I wish I'd have known you were doing that. I'd gone solo with you. Hold on. Oh, here we go. Keep it. There you go. for free. Yep. So, and I think I am 99.9999% certain that is John Crowther's fee for his signature as well. So come plan to do some fun geeky stuff if you're in the Orlando area next Sunday at Olo. So all right. I'm Roland, and I'm the chief cook and bottle washer here. I write a couple of the titles we do: Silverline Team Up, Trumps, Cat and Mouse, Rejects, and I don't have enough hours in my day, so that's me.
No
Tommy?
one does. No one
I know,
does.
it's so true. Tommy, tell folks who you are.
Thomas Flormonte Jr. Been doing comics since the early 90s. It feels like longer than that, but it's only been 30 some odd years. But done a lot of stuff with Mr. Roland. Did a lot of stuff with Roberta back in the Ultraverse days.
Yep.
Did some Marvel stuff, it's a little bit of stuff for everybody at one point or another. But now I'm currently, I'm working on my own stuff under the Inferno Studios line. But doing stuff with my buddy Barry Gregory, and then also I'm inking a bunch of the Silverline stuff, which we just got finished with the Kickstarter for Rejects.
That's right.
Which hopefully in the next couple of weeks we'll get that out.
Yep.
and through Kickstarter, and
I
then
did have an idea about the problem that you sent me, though.
Oh, okay. Well, we'll talk about it.
We'll talk about that. Yeah, but I got an
And
idea for that.
okay, and then right now I'm currently inking Pete's on. Well, I'm doing the what you call it,
Trumps.
the Trumps number
Yep.
4 over Pete, but we also currently inking Trumps, or not Pete, with the team up book. So inking Pete
Yes.
on a couple of things. Pete's
Yeah.
great. And where is Pete, by the way?
I don't know. He's probably
Uh,
asleep or something.
Somebody, should I call him?
Yeah, call him. You
I
got his
don't know his
number? Call
number.
him. Call him.
No, I got it, but I won't give him a call. Long distance to the UK is probably, that won't cost anything, but I'm not going to call.
Then you have the wrong service. Then if it's long.
That's right. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
It probably cost too much, and then I realized no, it probably wouldn't cost anything, would it?
No, but I remember those days when calling long distance cost
Overseas,
by the
for sure.
minute. Well, heck,
Yeah.
even just to California, by the minute you had to charge.
Yeah. No, but now you can call the UK for pretty much nothing. I
Yeah.
probably could make an internet call, and it wouldn't cost anything.
Well, that's what I tend to do all the time. Anyways, is when I have something like that, is I'll use the internet. As you know, I'm not a big cell phone guy.
That's right, because you just got a phone a year or two ago.
I'm not even sure.
And you don't even know where it's at.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, where is my phone?
Like Roberta and I probably have our phones that are reachable. She's got hers right there. Yeah, I don't walk anywhere without my phone.
No.
I don't know where mine is. It's probably it's probably on my dresser in my bedroom.
Oh,
I leave my wallet, my keys.
You left it in the car. It probably didn't have any.
I have left it in the car before.
I'm gonna call it and see if you answer.
I'm gonna see if I can hear it actually.
Let's see.
All right, while he's calling, Roby, tell folks
Hi.
who you are.
I'm Roberta Conroy. I'm a former Malibu, then Marvel Comics colorist from the early 90s, working also with Roland Mann before, and Thomas Florimonte Jr. there.
That's right. You know, I should probably, is the phone ringing, Tommy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't hear it.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably in my bedroom.
I hear it.
I hear it ringing now when you put it up to your ear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can hear it ringing. Well. I can hear it ringing through here, but not in my house.
I bet you don't even have an outgoing message.
I probably don't, actually.
Wait a minute. Here we go.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't?
Yeah,
let me put the phone down. So it was saying the phone number out. I don't guess you want everybody to know your number.
Yeah. Yeah, don't do that, because people call me and I won't answer them either. Bobby What's Good says, hello, Big Dummy. Stay warm. What's up, Screw Loose?
Hey, Roland, it's Thomas. If you could answer your phone, it's very important. There's an emergency. I need to talk to you. And oh, what was that? That was weird. All right, give me a call. Bye.
Actually, that reminds me of the thing we did to BJ with the phone. Wait, Roberta didn't get to finish telling people who
I know.
I
Goof it off.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Roberta, tell people who you are.
Okay, well, I guess I was going into that. I worked on all the Malibu titles and then the Marvel Comics titles in the 90s. And then became a graphic designer for a while. So I am back coloring with the Silverline crew, and I'm working on Cat and Mouse, and completed the Kickstarter for the Silverline Team Up Champion Miss Fury. So,
and it is fun, isn't it?
It is fun. Yeah, addictively fun. It's terrible.
It really is. What I was going to say is that I should get one of those big Ultraverse fans to, because they have these list after list after list. There's a lot of these Ultraverse fans. I should see if I could get them to put together a list of all the books that the three of us worked on.
Oh, yeah. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I think I have one piece of paperwork. One piece of paperwork that was, I think it was everything I worked on for a month. With my time, how long I spent on it.
Really?
Versus other people, versus how many pages I took versus other people. That was really good.
Oh yeah, that was you were getting mad at some of the other people not pulling their weight. Is that what? So you were
Well,
worked at 5 hours on this thing and 3 hours on this one. That's what you
well,
did.
we did have to learn because artists tend to be finicky and
Yes.
nitpicky.
Oh yeah.
So some artists are like, I'm just gonna put that, and there it is, and maybe they could do a little more. And then there's people that go like, oh my God, I don't like that shine. I'm gonna redo it.
Right.
Do that one. Maybe I'll add some different color, and then you end up like with spending like double the time you should on
Right.
it. So
And 3 days
you have
later.
to pick it
Yeah.
so that it's production speed,
Yeah.
not like, I don't know.
Well, and it's funny you say that, but I think that's the one that's one of the things that's the hardest thing for a lot of comic book artists to realize is that you have to realize we're not making fine art here, right? These are comic books, and
it
while
shrinks.
and while I
shrinks.
absolutely love comic books, and anytime I say that, people are like, well, why are you talking down about comics? I'm like, no, you don't understand.
we're not.
I love comic books, but you got to keep in mind it's a comic book. Don't spend 12 hours on a page. It just ain't worth it. It's just not worth it. So
right.
you got to learn to pick that speed up. And we had some notoriously slow folks back in the day.
Well, they were smart and they paid us per page. So
yes. Oh, you know what? I didn't realize
you.
that.
Oh yeah, they gave us.
I did not know that. I thought all
very
you guys were
little
salaried.
Oh no, there was like the smallest amount of constant pay, but so it wouldn't get below a certain amount, but that amount was not very pleasurable. So
Yeah.
it was, like you would earn per page. So
You know what? I did not.
it was
I did
like
not realize
that would get you moving.
Wow.
That would. I like that though. It's like that is how productive you are.
Yeah, and that is it. Yeah, you're right. And I think it's great for one of the things, Roberta. I don't know if I don't think I ever did this with Tommy. One of the things, because we had a couple of artists that we freelancers that we had to work with that were notoriously late, and so one of the things that we ended up doing was we let's say, I'm just going to make up numbers, right? But one of the things we ended up doing was creating incentives. So let's say an artist would normally make, let's just say, $75 a page. We would say, okay, your page rate is $50 a page. If you get them all in on time, we will give you a $25 a page bonus for getting them in on time, right? And so that way, they were guaranteed that $50 a page, but then if they got all their work on time, they would get $75 a page, which is kind of what they wanted, right?
I like that, yeah.
Yeah, and so it was an incentive to get the work in, because we would have, we'd have folks, here's 2 pages. Yes, but our comic book is 22 pages. Where are the other 20? It's like, well, I'm working. This happened. I get it, but if you were working at a factory job, you would have to work on your factory. Yeah, you'd have.
You would be fired by now.
Yeah. And I think that a lot of folks, a lot of freelancers don't realize that. Royal Airship says, "Great looking cast tonight." Thank you, Royal Airship.
Oh, thank you, Royal Airships. Ooh.
Well, he even starts off with a question. Wow.
Oh, okay.
This is Roberta Says tonight, but we'll go ahead and address this question here. You don't mind a little help, do you, Roberta?
Oh no, that's okay.
So
we have time.
Yeah. So Royal Airship says, "What was the lowest point in your career, or what was a time in your career when you learned something significant through difficulty?" Ooh,
I would say learning to value other people's insights without being protective of your way of doing it.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
That was an extremely early lesson I learned.
Was that a Malibu lesson?
It was a Malibu lesson, mostly because we were different people, all having to use a process, and they didn't want to stamp on your creativity. Right. So they let us come to every conclusion ourselves. They just had a guideline of what they wanted it to end up looking like, but not the process.
Yeah.
So everyone's process was totally different. And sometimes people will do, if I do this and this and this, it's like 3 seconds faster.
Yeah.
And you add
Yeah.
those 3 seconds up and you're like, wow, that helped. Thank you.
Right.
If you didn't talk to them or didn't care or were like, I just do it my way, I want my stuff to be my stuff, and you're not part of the team.
Right. Yeah.
You know, you lose out on a lot.
Well, and that was one of the things I thought about the coloring that department, because they were done by teams, and so I think the teams were made of 5 people. Was it
About
4?
yeah,
four
about
or 5. And so it wouldn't be unusual that one person would color 4 or 5 pages, the other person 4 or 5 pages, 4 or 5 pages, and so there had to be continuity from colorist from page to page to page, even though there were different colorists. And so I always thought that was a pretty awesome thing, because there were times, you could look at pages and I'm like, I can't tell when one colorist, and that's the way it should be,
That's good.
Yeah, it's the way it should. When you're reading a comic, you don't want to flip pages and go, ooh, someone else colored this page, right? Yeah, that's a good lesson. So it's a Malibu lesson, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me, what about you?
After listening to all that, I'm not quite sure I remember what the question was.
I left it up on the screen here.
What was the lowest? One of my lowest points, I guess, would have been going to a show and finding and this is not with Marvel or Malibu. It was with another company I was working for. That they basically went under and you were still turning pages. Well, they didn't go under, but you definitely weren't going to get paid for stuff, and they were still thinking that you were going to turn pages in and stuff. And it's like, and you found out at a show, and people were set up at the show, and who are you working on? Well, I'm working on this and blah 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 for a bigger company, and then they go, you didn't hear? And I'm like, didn't hear what? And they go, blah 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 blah, and you're like, no, that's not true. I was just talking to the editor right before I came to the show. And then you find out when you get back to the house on Monday, it's like, you're not going to get paid for all this stuff.
Oh my gosh!
Wow.
Yeah, that's still cool.
Wow.
That's a really low one. I like it.
Yeah, especially when when you're.
That was not Malibu, by the way, right?
No.
No. I got paid for everything with Malibu and I ended up getting paid for all that stuff too. It was just it was the
Yeah.
No, it's not who you're thinking of. That was that they didn't know this was. Oh, that was almost the same situation. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. No, it was the Acclaim stuff that I was doing.
Okay.
The Magnus Robot Fighter. It's I was told that I had, the next 5 or 6 issues were mine, and then went to a show, and then it spoke to the editor like on Thursday or Friday, and before a show, or maybe it was Wednesday, Thursday. I came to MegaCon and found out at MegaCon that people were telling me, yeah, they're no longer doing stuff, and then get back to the office and our home and find out, yeah, they're not doing anything.
Oh
man.
Like,
well, I was just told I had 5 more issues. When you're going the whole weekend thinking that you're hot shit, and then all of a sudden you find out that you don't have to work on Monday. It's like, oh, that's not cool.
No, that's not.
Yeah.
That's not cool at all.
No.
But I guess for me, one of my lowest points was probably it's a kind of a 2-parter. I think the first one was when Marvel came in and fired everybody.
Yeah,
because
that was so stupid.
That was a morale killer.
Yeah.
I mean, I as people, you can tell, anyone who hears us can tell we absolutely love Malibu being there. It's like any job, it had its issues, but it was a fantastic place to be. And so I absolutely loved that job. It had been my whole life's ambition, not my whole life, I guess, but by the time I got to be a senior in high school, I knew that's what I wanted to do. And so getting to Malibu was the kind of thing, it's like, yes, this is what I wanted to do. This is what, I was, you could say, people have said it before. I was living the dream. I was making comic books and getting paid to do it. And not a lot of money, but fortunately, BJ had a job in LA there, and she had a job that would take care of our housing, and so, I was kind of living the dream. So when they came in and fired everybody, and then they kept an editor that that had the least seniority to clear house, because I thought I would be, because I said, okay, well, you know what, they're going to keep one editor just to kind of sweep the floors, right?
Yeah.
And so I said, well, I'm the senior editor. They'll keep me just to do that. And so I've got a few more weeks. Nope, they kept probably the junior most editor to do all that, and which was a huge surprise, and really a kind of felt like a slap in the face. So that was kind of the first part, and so I was incredibly bummed about that, but I didn't stay that way very long, because that's when I decided, you know what? I have a new set of knowledge and a new set of skills, having spent these last, bunch of years at Malibu and then at Marvel. I know how to do things now that I didn't know how to do prior. And that's when, okay, well, I'm going to kind of relaunch Silverline as a publisher. And so I relaunched Silverline as a publisher. And of course, this was in the late 90s. So if you know anything about the comic book industry, that was the absolute worst time.
Mhm.
I'm starting a comic book company when everybody else is closing shop and going out of business. And I ended up over the course of from about 96 to about 2000, I lost a lot of money. Put stresses on my marriage, on my family, on me. And once I threw in the towel, once I threw in the towel, I was kind of like, I don't know what to do. I had lived my whole life for this. This was where I was trying to go, and I literally did not know what to do. And I took a job at a advertising agency, which just sucked the life right out of me. So, and it took some wandering around in the woods and several good kicks in the seat of the pants by BJ, and that's when I decided I would go back to school and teach. So yeah, that for me, that was probably the lowest point in my career, because I was just wandering around lost. Like, I don't know what to do. I wanted to make comics my whole life, and that's what I was doing, and suddenly I'm not doing it anymore. So anyway,
Well, it helps to have a plan B, that's for sure. But
it does, yeah, it does. And when you tell somebody that, particularly someone young, they think you don't have any confidence in them, and I'm like, no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying be prepared. And anticipate.
Creative jobs are not stable on any level.
They don't seem to be, do they?
Yeah.
I don't think so. Yeah. I don't think they can be. I think they need to have that backup,
Yeah.
Well, the second part of that question was, what did you throw that back up again? The second part was
learn something significant through difficulty.
Yeah, it's like you said that that all the stuff that you learned while you were being an editor and all that kind of stuff. Well, it was the same, same for me. I went almost at the same time when Malibu was shutting its door and all of my leads were drying up. Now, of course, you were in California at the time. I was in Mississippi trying to be a comic book guy and getting a lot of some nice profile books and stuff, and getting a lot of lead, a lot of really editors and people liking the work that I was doing. But when you weren't in those, up in New York, and but even though you were giving me a lot of work, but it kind of dried up once Malibu's doors closed up. I took all the stuff that I learned from making comics and started working for the local paper and become the production manager of the putting the actual production part. And so I did. So the second part of this question would be, what did you learn through the difficulty? Well, busted your butt, and I still had other skills.
Yeah.
Again, you went back to teaching. I swung and started doing something else, and then it led to moving down to Orlando, which I met friends and stuff for doing caricatures out here, and we started up Kablam and everything. So it's all
So it
working
works
good.
out.
Yeah.
Well, so far, if
If you can get paper,
we can get paper back in the at Kablam, everything would be going pretty good.
Oh,
so
that's
I'd
pretty
have
nice.
to say about that. One of the things I learned amazingly through Malibu was that, I'd gone to college for traditional graphic design, and I kind of avoided the computer graphics department because it just looked like, they need to put some more money into up to date everything. And I was like, I don't want to learn it wrong.
Right.
Yeah. And so like the stuff I was practicing with at home was perfect, and I was teaching myself quite a bit on the computer, but to actually watch being part of color separation at that time when people weren't doing enough of it, really.
Right.
It was a really big learning curve.
Yeah, and to think too, though, I mean, you were doing this right on the cusp of all these industry changes, because we were going from, making these 4-color plates to suddenly, now we're doing all this stuff with Photoshop,
Yeah, and they're making the separation there.
Yes. And so
taking Photoshop, which was, the name of the software is called Photoshop, and then we all kind of started using it to color, comics, and it's like, what are you guys doing? We figured out, Roberta and them, we tried to figure out how to, how to use this software to get. Now, what was there was another when Photoshop 2 came out.
Draw.
No, yeah, well, I tried to use that one. That's not really fun to draw or color in.
Well,
but
what I used in Malibu, when they gave me the trading card group, that was probably, I would say, the first time I ever tried using quickly Aldous.
Aldous.
Yeah, do you remember?
Yeah, I do.
Aldous, and that was
Aldous
Illustrator.
PageMaker.
It was, in the very beginning.
The color?
It was called Painter. It was by Aldous. It was called Painter.
Oh, MS
problem
is what you use
is
Windows.
Processor speed.
Yeah, it would take a lot of time to build the brush you want to get the look, but it would look really beautiful.
Yeah.
So it was worth it to try for backgrounds and for kind of a painterly look, and it worked seamlessly with Photoshop. So that was a beautiful time to practice and still get paid for it. And I thought, that's amazing. I can stumble through this and come up with something gorgeous, and that made everything feel better.
You can learn, and you
were paid to learn.
Yeah.
Which weren't we all? I was paid to learn to ink. Isn't that cool?
That's right.
What's up, Mr. Wubba?
Hello, what's up, Wubba? We miss you, man. Royal Airship says, those are excellent and very thoughtful responses. They show your truly steadfast ambitions and love for the craft. I couldn't be more proud to work with you. Oh, thank you, Royal Airships.
Great.
We just made it up. Made it. Okay. I gotta turn that paper over. I wrote that, so I'm gonna.
We'll come back to this because I'm not sure what Fruit Bat 36 means by flatting.
Flatting.
Unless that was the answer to...
Flatting is the process of making all of the color choices you need.
Yeah.
So that you can select all of some part of your page.
Make it easier. Yeah. And then
but I'm not sure what the comment is in response to.
I don't either. It's just on its own. Maybe just talk about it.
So, all right. So hold on. Eric says, hello, everyone. I love Twilight Grim 3, White Devil 1 that I received this week. Fantastic, cool. Eric. So glad. Well done, and thank you. Roberta, what makes... here's a good question. Roberta, what makes coloring a page more enjoyable to you than other pages? Ooh, that's a good question.
Good question.
Yeah. So when you get a comic book, right? When you get a comic book, it's got 22 pages in it. What makes one of those pages more enjoyable than the other?
when there's a lot of thought put into the art that comes to me, so that decisions are made, but they're not locked in, so I don't have range to explore some of the shapes. Because
Mm.
there's artwork that, like, they will give you so much shadow work that your color just has to be kind of like almost flat behind it.
Yeah. I see what you're
And then
saying.
there's people that don't put any thought into, like, putting that stuff in it. It's just a thick line on bottom and thin line on top, and so, like, you decide, "How much rendering do I have to do?" And that's a lot of thinking, and
Right.
you're like, "I don't wanna." So,
So
like,
you
the
hated back in the
perfect
day when the inker would turn in pages and he'd have notes on coloring on there? You didn't like when I was doing that?
well,
I'm sorry.
I have 3 things to mention about what
Oh
my
no.
favorite thing is: metal,
Metal.
fire,
Oh,
and energy blast. Anytime
Mhm.
any of that happened, I had
So
so much fun, I didn't even think about it, but,
see,
I
I
the time just go by.
can remember you and I talking about, and I can't remember our exact words, but I can remember you and I talking in the new office,
Mhm.
I wish
Nutbury
that
Park.
I wish that butthead Thomas would quit putting color notes on
You and
us.
I were talking about Energy Blast,
That's funny. Yeah, I
and
did it.
because we both loved color holds,
Mhm.
and of course they were kind of a pain in the butt to do, but
Takes time, yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
but you and I still remember you and I were on the exact same page because we loved them,
Mhm.
and I can remember us talking about what about this or what about this, and I'm like, well, okay, we don't have to do this one, but let's do this one. Can we do this one? And you're like,
Well,
yeah, we'll do that.
until layers started coming out on Photoshop. So like in version 2 and 3, where they didn't have layers yet. I think it was 4 when they started layers, made it easier to do the color holds.
Well,
But
it
trying to do
also
a color hold with a channel was a pain in the
I
butt.
disagree.
Oh, you
It was
liked it?
fun. No, I didn't find that to be a problem. I felt the channels worked just as easily
Oh, really?
without
Yeah.
I never really cared for the layers as much. It really wasn't as
You
big
know,
a deal for me.
yeah,
As long as there were alpha channels,
so when
you
you're
know.
coloring something, how many layers do you have?
Well, now I use probably 10.
Oh, golly! See, when my buddy Barry, Roland's
Lifelong
Mhm.
pal.
lifelong buddy, when he's coloring stuff, he's like you, layers and layers and layers, and then he looks at me when I'm coloring stuff. I have 3. I have the light art layer, I have the color layer, and I have the color hold layer. That is it. I don't use any. And Barry's like, "How are you coloring with just those 3 layers?" And I'm like, "I don't care. That's all I'm using."
Well, I have to have a flat layer, and I don't
Yeah.
like using
Well, I
an
do. I
alpha
just
channel.
color over it. I color right over the flat
Yeah,
layer.
but then
I,
you decide that you need that for something.
no,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's
I do my rendering on it, and I don't.
Yeah. It's kind of like you have to have that flat as your original file, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can go to. Speaking of which, do either of you want to broadcast, put some art on the stream while we're talking?
Well, I was gonna turn in a page, but I might as well finish the tiniest of blends for it. So
All right.
I
Well,
can put it up though. It
share
is
away. Okay, so Fruitbat
cat
says,
and mouse.
"I'm just letting you know I'm working on my pages for Wolf Hunter." Okay, all
Great.
right. That's what he's
Oh,
doing.
so now
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
getting to figure out who this fruit bat person is. He's letting everybody know.
yeah. I wonder if I can change the name. No, I can't. I know in some of the, like in Zoom, I can change names. I can't check because this is the name that they signed up with. Like I can change y'all's names on here. Fruitbat36. He says I'm using Corel Painter for Wolf Hunter.
Oh, good
See?
gracious!
See? It's still around.
I
Yep.
guess so. Oh,
But
use
it
GIMP.
got more and
Use
more complicated and more interesting.
if
It's
you're gonna
beautiful.
use a Photoshop program, Photoshop's expensive. Use GIMP.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
I have
and
to
the
say
other one
when you
is,
get used to something though,
Yes.
and you're paid for speed, you have to decide how much learning you want to give
right.
up.
Yeah. Well, the other one I've heard of is Mega Studio, which turned into Clip Studio,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
what I use for everything.
So
Yeah.
Just it's
this
easy
is
on the iPad.
Cat and mouse splash
Oh,
page.
nice.
So I'm hoping that that brings it out okay. I want them
Nice.
I want
I
them to
hope
be
Wub is still on.
Yeah, what about you see it?
Yeah.
So this is
Nice.
fun. It's almost done. I just wanted to get his pants in. I think that's all I really need because I could go crazy with wood or something, but then it'll just be too much.
All right. Oh, here we go. Here's Wubba.
Yep.
I love it.
Yeah, cool.
Yay, cool.
Excellent. Yeah, very cool. Let's see. Oh, there you go. Put us. That kind of works, doesn't it? Putting us at the bottom down there.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
There's up a little bit of the artwork. And Wubba did say, he said, all I've wanted to do was comics also. All the regular jobs I have done just suck compared to it. Yeah, I feel your pain.
Yeah.
I think we all do.
At one point or the other, for sure.
Yeah, yeah. And that's why, I tell people, I feel very fortunate that, I work at a job that I don't hate,
That is fortunate.
Yeah, it's very fortunate. I mean, it's obviously, if I had my druthers, to be real Southern, if I had my druthers, I would absolutely give it up in a minute and focus on comics full time. But I can't. So it's good that I don't hate my job. And I will say there are some months.
It's an English job, but it's about comics, so
It is. That's right.
So it works good.
Yeah, and I get to continue to talk about comics throughout my class. And so I will say this, I have a new class start every single month. And so 12 classes in a year. And so some months really good classes because they're super engaged. Even if they don't like comics, they're good students because they'll come in and be engaged and pretend like they want to learn anyway. But there's some months where they just come in and they just stare at you like you're speaking a foreign language to them, and they would just rather be playing Minecraft or something. And those are just slog months. Those are just the months where you go, oh my gosh, are we only on the second week of this class?
Oh.
So yeah, I'm very fortunate. And I know, and I won't call it, but I know some of the folks that we work with. Sometimes you do things that you don't necessarily love, but that allows you, that affords you to be able to do the thing that you do love at night. So,
big deal.
But that's kind of why we're here, right? At Silverline, is that we're here because we love what we're doing. So,
yeah, and we've got other things that we do, just balance it out.
Yeah. So I'm going to go back to, I'm going to put Roberta on the spot since it is Roberta Says Day. So I'm going to go back to Eric's question here. And when he asked about make coloring a page more enjoyable to you than other pages. So I'm going to put you on the spot. All right.
Okay.
And you do have the right of refusal, of course. But out of, let's just say the Silverline Team Up book, right? 22 pages. What would you say was your top 2 or 3 pages, and then maybe what were your bottom 2 or 3? I know Pete and Tommy do a wonderful job on all the pages. That's not what I'm saying, right? They do. They
art
do,
was perfect. Sorry.
Yes, on every page. So
and if it was people.
For that issue, what would you say were your top 2 or 3 pages, and then maybe your bottom couple of pages?
Well, I mean, if I have to say a bottom page, the only one to start with is the opening one, because I wasn't used to any of the team yet. So I go to color it and I find out it's snowing. I'm like, oh.
That's right. Pete and I told you, didn't we?
Yeah, that was really funny. I was like,
what was, I remember Pete's answer was he goes, well, I wasn't going to say anything.
But that is something to say, because I just get the art and I look at it, and then you came up with the idea of like, well, let's talk about the script, and so that I might know at least a modicum of the storyline.
Yes.
And some description of like the reasons that the characters are doing something, so that yeah, the art can speak for itself most of the time so well that you don't have to think about it.
I'm going to since we're doing this, this says extra camera here. I'm sorry. StreamYard has something new on here that I'm not familiar with. So there's the page in question, right? So whoops.
It was
Oh, I don't need me big like that. What the heck? Come on, go away. There we go.
it would make sense that because it's flames everywhere else on the other pages. And is that page number 1? I don't think
That's
been
page 1. That is
Oh,
page
golly,
1.
I don't remember. It's been a year, hasn't it?
Yeah. Did you ever read it?
Of course I did. I'm trying to look.
All right. Well,
Anyway,
that makes
yeah,
sense.
that was the reason. Yeah, that
Yeah,
was the
okay.
reason.
And so since I got the file up, what about well, what about your most favorite couple of pages?
Starting Miss Fury.
Oh, okay, yeah. So let's see.
She was putting on clothes.
She comes. No. You're talking about. I know the one you're talking about. Are you talking about right here?
Oh, walking in.
Or
well, that was my favorite because that was New Orleans.
Okay, I thought you might have been talking. Right. Whoops. Where did it go?
Well, that one where she's jumping.
Yeah, I thought you might have been talking this one right here.
Where she's actually seeing her do something. Yeah.
This right here, this is one of my favorite panels in the whole comic.
I love that so much. Yeah, that's probably my favorite page overall.
I love the way that she's leaping off of the building, going from one building to the other. And I love the effect that you have on the buildings in the back so that it just really pops her off of there. Love.
I think she was just really fun in every direction because she's hanging upside down. She's, standing upside down.
Yep.
Just all of the color choices that I had to make just tried to make her so visible.
Yeah.
So that was a fun puzzle.
Yeah.
And I like it when they have a moon.
Yes,
That's
I do
kind
too.
of fun too.
Yeah. And sometimes I will actually put that in the script, and sometimes sometimes it's the artist, but sometimes I will say in the script, hey, they're doing this. Maybe we got a big, and I'll be honest with you, I sometimes call it a Batman moon.
A Batman moon.
We got a big Batman moon up there. All right, very cool.
Mm-hmm.
I have I'm not going to mention any people's names. We're talking about a moon. I've got pages where I've had a moon, and the penciler, whatever, was just on autopilot and drew clouds behind the moon.
Wait, what?
Okay.
Clouds behind the moon?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
no
there's
way.
clouds behind the moon.
Yeah.
No. You're lying. I don't believe you.
They drew.
Don't they know how that works?
I guess. Well, they drew. No, I know what's going on. They drew the. You're not gonna. You know what I'm talking about. They drew. They drew the skyscape, right? With the skyscrapers and stuff. There's a moon, stars and stuff, and then there would be nice little happy clouds going behind the moon.
So
and you're like,
was it a character
That's really funny.
Was it a character that appeared at night often?
Uh-oh.
The
character appeared at night often because there was a moon, right?
No, I think it may have happened in that one before. It's more than once or twice. It's just you're on autopilot. You drew the moon in, right? And then you drew the buildings. You draw the moon. Then you realize you got to finish that panel off, and you're just going along, blah blah blah. And then all of a sudden you just stop at the moon, and it's like you go, that cloud is going behind the moon. Right? It's like, that doesn't work that way. And then you got to go, okay, I'll fix it.
That's really funny.
That's the inker's job, is to fix the moon, the clouds behind the moon.
Right.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. Okay, so I'm going with that page. So what I wanted to notice, or have you noticed with this page, 1, 2, 3 color holes, they can all go together. So
boom, boom, boom.
So I just put them together.
Oh yeah, so we can see all your layers and stuff.
Yeah, so then I can get rid of the extras that had anything interesting. And then the flat, I think I just turn it off. That's really what I like to do. So
Wow.
there, color. And now you have a page.
It's that easy.
Line art. You got line art, which should be named line art, not layer.
That's very cool.
There you go. Rename it.
Yeah. So now you got the flats layer is just there, just in case anyone needs it, because it can happen. So there it is.
Nice. It's very cool. Eric has the same question for you, Tommy. He says, "What makes a page more enjoyable to ink versus other pages?"
I get off on just everything, really. Because it's just fun to ink something and to be able to make it look just crisp and shiny and dynamic, and all of a sudden it could be people talk. I mean, there's some boring pages, but I don't find those any less fun to ink. I don't go through it. If I'm given a whole book, and you barely ever have this happen where they give you all 22 pages.
There it is.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and cool. But yeah, and then all of a sudden I just say, I'm going to ink this page in this panel and that page in this page. I just start at the beginning and go to the end. And generally, if it's a new penciler, a thing I learned from you and Steven, it's kind of start 3 or 4 pages in, so you can break yourself into what they're doing. So that way, when you get back to page 1 and ink it, it'll look really good compared to page 3, where you're just trying to figure out what they're to mesh better.
Yeah.
But no, I just inking something, and all of a sudden it just looks really sharp and everything. He's like, oh, that's really cool. That's what I like.
Yeah.
That's
well,
cool.
So I'm going to ask you the same question then for specifically about Silverline Team Up. If you have to pick out, one or two,
go find the book.
A couple of pages that we're like, oh, those were my favorite pages.
Here, talk a second. I got a book right over here. Let me go.
Okay. And then a couple. Can you still hear me while you walk? You can, can't you?
Yeah. I got my headphones.
All right. So a couple of pages that you really liked, and then a couple of pages that you're like, these aren't my favorite. I'm not going to say you don't like, because we like them, but you're like, that's not my favorite.
Let's see. Do I have one of the books over here?
Fruitbat36 said Krita is similar and free, and then he said it's awesome too.
Mm-hmm.
And then he mentions Clip Studio when we were talking about Mango Studio. So
yeah, I love Clip. I do everything in it now. I mean, it's just because it was Photoshop for the iPad stinks so much. It needed it for something that I could do jumping back and forth from the iPad to Windows.
Photoshop Touch was really good, and then they took it away. Yeah,
they did.
And they took it away, and they chopped it up and said, no, you can't do layers.
Why did they take
program
it away?
as so they could sell you 5 different programs.
Oh.
Okay, so page. Of course, I've mentioned it before. I really love how page 11 turned out.
Page
the one 11. With all of the shadows.
Oh yeah. Cool. Thanks.
Oh yeah. This page right here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. I just when I was inking it, I was like, I just could tell, that it was going to turn out so neat. I mean, all the shadows and stuff are cool, but the second panel, where it's got the guy with the gold tooth and all that kind of stuff, and the shadow with the nose and everything, and
spit.
with the spit. Yeah, that was. I really thought that was something else. I wish I had done that one on paper, so I could have kept. But I didn't. It was all digital. Now, would I have inked it the same on paper as I did digitally? I have no idea if it would turn out as cool. But probably, but still. But I'm looking through the rest of the book. I guess some of these pages with because you wanted to do the Liefeld armor and stuff all over everybody.
That was funny.
That wasn't all that much fun.
Come on now. You had fun with that page right there.
Yeah, that's the one I was just looking at. No, one of the, and I'll tell you why. So with all of those the armor and stuff, the only thing that I've not got where I do as well as I do on paper that I do digitally is to do circles and stuff with templates and all that kind of stuff. So to get all of the little circles and things, you have them in there, of course, but it's not as easy as just taking a template and then moving it around the page and ink and move that template. And you need a smaller circle, you just move to the next one over, and you get it's kind of a pain in the butt. So when being able to freehand draw the stuff or to do the like Procreate has a really cool feature where it'll let you do curves and stuff pretty easy. They don't have it in Clip, but you can start a line, and then wherever you stop, if you hold on the page for a second, all of a sudden it'll pop to a curve that you can control the curve. But I kind of figured out a pretty easy way to do French curves and stuff.
Yeah, this is good.
But yeah, some of these circles are kind of wonky, but they are
Pretty
ovals.
good.
I guess.
They read well. So.
Yeah.
But but no, there's nothing else in. I'm flipping through it now. We all did great on this one.
Yeah.
The colors are. I mean, the writing. I don't know. I haven't read it, but the coloring is top notch for sure. And Pete drew himself in the book.
Yeah, and you know what? He's not here, so I'm going to tell y'all. I have decided that character is going to make a return appearance.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. I hope he gets beat up. He needs to get beat up. That'd be fine. No, the rest of the book is fine except for all those ovals that I don't do very well. I gotta come up with a better way to do it. But I think that answers my best and worst. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So I had a hard time with that book initially, just because I wanted to know how I was going to treat the fire, and you
did a good bang up job.
I think those fire pages are just. I mean,
I love fire, but at the same time, to have that much of it and still have to have a progression of story through it.
Yeah,
it's like okay, I got it.
I think the fire pages were hot.
Yeah. Grown, but thank you.
Yeah.
I like how they turned out so much.
Yeah, I mean, look at that first page. Oh, that one that you're showing is great. Yeah, fabulous. Yeah. He's on fire. Anyway,
you know, it is funny. I remember reading it a little bit later and looking through there. I'm like, they probably should have caught on fire more than they did. That's okay. They're heroes. They
never catch on fire. Yeah.
But
he's in a suit.
He's in a suit.
Yeah, he is.
In a fire suit.
Yeah.
Other guy's in shiny leather. I don't know. I think it's
it's a comic.
You go
book,
with
right? Yeah, that's right.
It's flame retarded leather.
Yeah, I do. I absolutely love these fire pages. Of course, I like you said. I think the whole thing was great.
And so what was also dovetail, if possible, into one of the things I wanted to talk about today.
Wait, before you do that though, Roland, what was your favorite and non-favorite page? Yeah, we didn't ask you.
Oh yeah.
You know, I don't know. Boy, those are tough. I think probably one of my favorite pages is the one with Miss Fury. This one right here. Yeah, that's one of my favorite pages. And I also think this is one of my favorite pages. Just because there's so much going on. You know, in the background, we see the stuff that happened, and then here these two guys are seemingly victorious, and least favorite.
And you'll
page?
Love it because your name is on the top of the cover.
I know, right?
Wait a minute, did he draw clouds behind the moon? No, the moon looks fine. Okay, we're good.
And you know, here's the other thing. I absolutely love this panel here with the blam.
Yeah,
in
the
back.
blam.
Oh my
cool.
gosh, yeah. I love that kind of thing. Of course, you know, it does make it tough to script when you're trying to think, okay, what can I put? I can't put any words here.
Put anything in there.
No.
Yeah, but you know what? This
It's okay. some
Which-
panel here and there.
Well, no. I believe that. I believe that and Tommy's heard us talk about this, and Barry and I talk about it a lot. Is that I think that comic storytelling is unique, and I think that most panels should have something in them for the reader to read and kind of cause them to stop in that panel and look at the panel and look at the artwork and read. But there are some panels that just scream without words, right? Without dialogue. And this is one of those panels. It's just the tiny little thing here, blam, and making such a huge sound. Yeah, I just think that's one of those that just screams.
Yeah, I can't imagine it without the word.
Yeah, no. Without
it's such a huge part of the impact.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, all these pages, like I love this right here. He opens the door and boom, there's a gun right in his face. Least favorite page, least favorite.
Yeah, where was that?
It's kind of hard to find the least favorite.
It really is.
The rendering. I've told you about this before. The rendering on that one where the laser scope is in his face. I love the way that you colored the rendering on that. It's great.
Yeah,
that whole page is fabulous.
Yeah. I love that. I don't know. It's one of those things. They all do something and they all look good in their own way. So I don't know. The least favorite would be tough for me to figure out.
Gotta pick.
Yeah, this would probably be my least favorite, trying to determine where the words go. I think I had a hard time with that. And having it make sense, you guys know this, the Z pattern, I'm trying to, I had a hard time kind of keeping the Z pattern working from here to here down into this inset panel and then back over to here. This was so I'm gonna have to pick this one for that reason.
Okay.
So, but this is still a good panel, a good page, I should say. Yeah. So much goodness, Tommy. I'm wondering if you could, if you ever read it, because I did make a little jab at Ole Miss here. Do you remember that?
On this page?
Yeah, on page 8. Let's see here. Fruitbat says, my favorite was where Miss Fury gets the job, which is this page that I'm looking at right here. Yeah. And then he said, just the storytelling was so funny. Well, thank you, Fruitbat. Yeah, I think this ended up great.
I like how she's in front,
Yes. Yeah.
So everyone's looking at her, and it just, it gets your attention even more, having her feet down there.
Yep. And it does that, we talk about the Z patterns some. It does that excellent thing because they're both looking this way. We can almost take this and replace that meme, that meme where the dude is walking with the girl and he's looking back at another girl and the girl he's with is looking at, this can almost replace that, right? Because that's kind of what he's doing. But then your eye goes from here and then it goes this way, right? To all these guys right here. And then back with them looking this direction, and her feet take you right into this panel.
Yep.
Yeah. You could almost draw the Z on there, right? If you were drawing. Which, I think is good. That's the way it should be. Yeah. Had you not seen that before, Tommy?
The Z?
No, the Ole Miss thing.
I was looking for the Z.
Oh. And I also love this panel right here, this next to last panel, how everything is in silhouette, right? Except for the characters are kind of I guess reverse silhouette is what that would be, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's
and I was really careful about that, because if I colored them, with any detail at all, or even too much brightness, it just took away from her face down there and how strong she was up in the top. It's just like, wow, this whole flow, that's tough, this little panel, but it's so interesting how it's all black. I love that.
Yeah. 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 I think it's a fantastic page.
Mhm.
Yeah. Very cool.
Absolutely. All right.
Okay, Roby, what's next?
Okay. So I was kind of thinking that we could talk a little bit more about the process, the like how to be in sync with the setting between different people.
Mm.
You know,
Uh,
I like when you like going through the different parts of the process of okay, you have this story and you have someone visualizing the story and they got to visualize the setting and try to work with what you said and make that happen. And then how, whatever cues they have of the setting and the costumes and whatever lighting might be, like where they put the window and details like that that
Yeah.
can really throw off, consistency if that's not handled
Yeah.
like with some kind of planning. So you got this level of, here's my outline and here's what I'm passing on to the next creative.
Yeah. So
So
I
for
absolutely
your
love that.
end, starting.
Yeah, I love that process. To be honest with you, so for me, and I know that the both of you have seen them, but when the penciler is okay with it, I like to work Marvel style. And the reason I like to work Marvels, I noticed the Marvel method getting some gruff here on Twitter, I guess a couple of weeks ago, and I like to do it if the artist is good with it, then I like to do it. And here's why though, because my plots are fairly detailed. They're not. A lot of people say, oh well, they just write a couple of sentences and then, well, no, that's not the way mine are. Mine are detailed on the page, but they're detailed in a way that it's not, I'm not calling the camera angles or camera shots or saying this panel. I'm just saying, hey, this is what's happening and this is the mood, this is the tone, right? It's there's lots of fire out. Let's see if I can actually find my since we've been on Silverline Team Up here. Let's see if I can actually pop up my my plot real quick for that and just give you an example. But I try to, for me personally, I try to give details that the penciler, as kind of the director, would need. And then I try to leave a lot of I mean, I don't really call for shadows, or, I mean, sometimes like I'll say, this is a heavily shadowed scene, or this is a dark scene or something like that. But that's kind of the extent of it. I won't be, here we go. Oh, that's handwritten. No, there we go. It's on my Dropbox, and it's I gotta download it onto my computer before I can open it. So, it is handwritten. That's not what I want.
I know you type them out.
I do type them out, but I tend to write everything longhand first. Miss Fury 1.5. Here we go. Okay. So I'm going to go back to, I'm going to toss it up on the screen. And since Fruit Bat was into page, what is that? Page 8. Let me put page 8 back up on the screen and I'll read that. Okay, so let me get to page 8. So page 8 says, we're going to cut to, we shift to Marley Hale walking in the streets of New Orleans looking for work. Yes, make it look like the quarter, because we know all of New Orleans looks like that. Haha. She's a recent college grad with a degree in graphic design. She's moved to New Orleans and in with her old college roommate. Not sure what the college roomie does yet. She's come to get away from home and to get a job. We'll leave some of this home stuff mysterious so readers might wonders what she's running from, right? As she walks along the sidewalk, computer in hand, or maybe some sort of bag, a hipster dude is being tossed out of an office just in front of her, portfolio and papers flying all cartoon-like. Obviously, he's a designer. and the boss yelling at him about his work. Probably something like, "We're trying to sell them, not get banned." And that's only there just for placeholder, right? Just to give the penciler an idea. As you can see, I didn't actually put that didn't make it to the page. And he says, and how any grade school, let's see here. The boss is yelling at him about his work and how any grade school kid could do what he did. This catches Marley by surprise, and the yelling boss points to her and says he bets even she could do better than the dude. Marley asks what, and the yelling boss tell her to design a logo. Marley smiles, and she says, "As a matter of fact," right? And so this is what I gave Pete, and this is what Pete ended up with, and then you guys. The Pete did it. Of course, then Tommy came and brought it to life, and you breathe color into it. So, so I like this method because even though I gave Pete some ideas of dialogue, right? I wanted him to just get the sense of what was happening. After Pete does the pencils, I like to go back in then and look at the facial expressions and look at the artwork around the characters and say, okay, now what does the reader need to help move them through this story? Obviously, I don't want to tell them what they can see, right? Because if it's on the page, I don't need the girl to say, "Hey, why are you throwing that guy out of that door?"
Right. Yeah.
Right. Because she can see that. And so she gets to hear his, rambling on about the idiot designer dude. And then, all she does, except for the first panel, in the bottom half of the page, she has, 3 lines? Me? She says her name, Marley Hale. And then when he says, "You want to be a designer?" She goes, "As a matter of fact." Right? And that was aided by the fact that the artwork allowed me not to have to go on to about a lot of this stuff, right?
That's true. Yeah, and you give them a lot of leeway.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the reason I like it is because I could have come in and said, page 8, panel 1, this is what we see. Panel 2, this is what we see. But I think, in my experience, pencilers generally have a better sense of visual storytelling that I could do on a page. So why do I want to restrict that? I want to embolden that. I want to strengthen that, and I want to give. But I want to make sure that he has everything that he needs because and Tommy can know some of what I'm talking about here, because as a writer, you want your story told, you want the stuff that you're doing, but you never want to get the pages back and say, "What's going on here? I have no idea what's happening here," and or wait a minute, I didn't write that. That's not, I don't know what they're doing. This was supposed to be this way, and yet this is happening. And I find that happens if you don't give the artist enough visual details, right? And again, I'm not talking about calling shots. I'm talking about just tell them what's going on,
Well, the important parts for sure. If you've got a point that you're trying to get across, because that's what the story is about. You have to be a little more detailed on that kind of stuff, and then like these guys on the scooters in the background. I don't. You didn't say there's 2 dudes on the scooters back there, doing. And so then Pete got to play around and make up something that he thought was fun, because you got to be fun for everybody, including the penciler, inker, and the colorer too.
Absolutely, yeah. And I'll be honest with you. That is, I've talked to a lot of writers I shouldn't say I've talked to a lot of. I've heard a lot of writers say, well, they don't really care what the artist thinks. They just want them to draw the story, and that is absolutely not me as a writer. I want Tommy to tell me, "Roland, I loved working on this story. It was so much fun." Right? I want Roberta to say that comic book was so much fun working on it. Right? And so for me, that's part of the consideration that goes into writing a story. It can't just be all about what I want, right?
Right.
because we're a team, and it has to be about what everybody, we can't tell you what's happening, but next issue there's a character that's going to appear, and he's only going to appear because Tommy said, "I think Pete would do a good job drawing this character, and I want to ink him."
Are you talking about?
That's funny.
Yeah. And so the thing about it is, my story was written, right? The story had been written already, and let's see, and so so after Tommy said that, I'm like, okay, now I got to go back and revise my story.
If there was a way to fit them in, was there a way to, with what you've written already, can we put this guy in here? And you're like, no, let's ask Pete if he'll draw an extra book. We'll make it a 4 issues book instead of 3, because it was going to be 3 to start off with, right?
Right. It was going to be 3, and that was the thing.
Pete agreed to, so you had to run it by Pete, make sure he was cool,
right?
And he was. So now we got an extra little, and from what you've said, it's going to be a cool little thing to throw in there.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
Oh, great.
And oh, Roberta, have you peeked at any of the first pages of number 2?
No. I should, huh?
Yes, you should. Okay. Oh my gosh,
I want to.
Crazy wild.
I was gonna wait a little bit, and then
until you might see some inks. Yeah.
Yeah. Until maybe it looked like
it's gonna be a couple of months before we get into this. We got to finish up front.
I'll peek.
Yeah, go peek.
Yeah, you do want to peek because so exciting, so good.
Great.
Yeah, let's see here.
You answered my question really well, but the one thing that I wanted to kind of point out about, just having the latitude of the setting and the telling the story up to a lot of your decisions just being kind of a framework, and then they're tightening it up.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So everybody down the line gets to a different level of tightening.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. I agree.
So I wanted to describe something that's kind of funny about illustration, in particular.
Okay.
So you can be kind of loose with ink, and your imagination fills in everything.
Yeah.
So once you get to the color, everything you suggest can lead you to decide what this is. Textures play a big part of it.
Yeah.
Sometimes, what I like about comics is it's not all realism. So you get to have mood play a part, and you can change things out of real enough that it's not as difficult. But I wanted to bring that to play, that sometimes your decision to ink something a certain way, I'm like, I think I'm going to have to look up weapons.
Roberta's Google
level
search is
of
like machine gun.
Yeah, like a
can that be pink? I'd really like to make them pink. Oh no, it's not
ammunition.
pink.
Well, and then you get to say, you know what? I don't care. I want that color.
Yeah, pick it anyway.
So
now, what I see a lot with some pencilers especially at the beginning of their careers, it kind of goes into what Roberta's talking about with the colors, as far as like shadows and modeling things and stuff. It's like I'll see somebody, draw something, and I'm starting to ink it. I'm like, this is why am I going to ink this black when she should, whoever the color is, would be something that she could do, make it look way cooler than I can. Again, I'm going to ink it. So, and then I'll leave something out, and then the penciler goes, well, I drew all these cracks and stuff. I'm like, she's going to do it, or she, Roberta, I mean, whoever the color is going to do way cooler job at making this look like cracks on a wall, than me drawing every little single crack that you drew on the wall, and you're just muddying up the page by drawing all this stuff, and then I'm going to ink it and then make it even, and then the color is going to go
bolder.
Yeah, and the color is going to have to go, well, this is a crappy thing, and put gray behind it. And the color didn't get to have fun. We're all supposed to be having fun.
exactly what I said
Yeah.
earlier, where it's like, you have that respect of the next person down the line
Yes.
having some
Right.
room,
Yeah.
having
Yeah.
some
It's like,
creative room.
Yeah.
yeah, it's like, I mean, I'm looking at these faces and stuff, and it's like, well, Pete didn't. Well, Pete, I'm not talking about Pete, but you could do way more rendering in the penciling in part, and then I'd have to ink it, and it's like that's not giving the color their chance to shine.
Right.
If I'm making him or
Mhm.
her do stuff just because I had already started yet, so I,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and it's less work. It's like you're saying, quit drawing so much stuff. Let the next person handle their part, and then let the next person handle their part, and
Mhm.
then it makes everybody, everybody's pitching in, and you can get on with it. Get on to the next page. Quit rendering out that page.
I'll be honest with you guys. I think that's one of the reasons that the Silverline Team Up team is jiving so much, because I think we all have very similar philosophies maybe about making a comic. Is that it's a comic book. You don't have to. You know what? The road doesn't have to be asphalt gray.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
The walls don't have to be beige.
Exactly.
And I've heard Roberta talk about it before. You color for mood. So
Yeah,
which is great. It's like
each scene
it
should have
doesn't
a
have to
palette.
be.
Yeah,
It's a comic book, and we're trying to communicate a story. So these things don't have to be colored, quote unquote, real. Well, a real, you know,
If
building
you were,
wouldn't be that color. I was like, who cares?
yeah. If it's a fight, she's gonna have bright colors. If it's a
Yeah,
sad scene, it'll be dull
right.
color. Even though it's supposed to
yeah,
be the same room, it's like if
Yeah,
somebody's screaming, you got a different color in the background
right.
from the next panel when they're just talking nice.
mhm.
It's not
Yeah,
the same wall color every time. You're trying to tell a story.
yeah.
Just think of I'm telling Roberta's secrets and stuff. Just think of
It
and I learned this a long time ago with reading a bunch of Disney cartoon stuff, and how the coloring of all of their the cartoons and stuff. It's they pick a palette, and you can see when they lay all these scenes out, like they have the palette, and they say this is the palette for, because it's trying to express a
Mhm.
mood for this particular
Right.
scene, and all that kind of stuff. And Roberta does it great. I can't do it. I
Yeah.
I end up coloring everybody when I color in my books. They're all the same thing, all the way through. Because I suck. Even though I know better, I just can't do it. It's just not something I can do. Barry does a good job at that too,
Yeah.
at picking moods. I just Roberta does an excellent job doing it. I can't do it. I do.
Well, sometimes
Uh,
you can look at it after, and that's why I like the flatting process. If you look at it after and say it's not reading,
Do
I
you
just
like?
got the page after it, and this page after it makes my decision on the page before it. Maybe I'd like to, incorporate some of
Do
a
you
change.
get, when you're talking about flattening? Do you get somebody to, when you have a chance? Do you get
Uh,
somebody to flatten
I
your
pay
stuff for
people can
you?
do that. Yeah, sure.
Do you like it when? Yeah,
I do
but
all that
do you
myself.
like it when, like I know some colors that want the flatter. They explicitly tell the flatter, do not use colors that might fit the scene. It's like, put purple on the face, put pink in the back, just to make it, because they don't want you to be influenced by what the flatter is doing. So do you like
I
the
don't think I
flatter just
would
do?
be. I don't think I would be influenced by what the flatter's doing.
yeah.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
just busy work if nothing else. It's
Yeah.
not decision making.
And yeah, you've done it long enough that you see it here, not there.
I think
Well,
I would
plus
be
Right.
there is
tricked
a
into.
palette that I do want to stick to in terms of the
Yeah.
clothing and that sort of thing. So,
Yeah.
so it's possibly up in the air when
I
there's
think
a
if
new
I had somebody,
character or somebody I don't know,
I think if
then
somebody was flattening some of my stuff and they put purple in the background, I'm going, okay, background's purple.
go with it.
They use blue. Yeah, background's blue. That's fine. I don't. Too lazy to change it.
All right, let's
Well,
let's catch up
that's
on a
funny.
couple of these comments
Got
real
some
quick.
questions?
Yeah,
That's
no,
good.
just comments so far. Frubat says she's based on Olivia Munn. Not that I know
Hmm.
of. I don't think that's who Mystery. He says you can't ignore this. I'm not really sure. I have to ask Pete. That's not my understanding, but
I don't think he
I don't
said
know.
that. Who he did you
You
tell him?
know, I did not,
I
and I've
don't think he.
gotten No, I'm trying to get into a better habit of picking out personalities to use for characters, but I don't remember I did for this
You know,
one.
I'm looking at it. I can kind of see it, but she's Olivia Munn's got a little more Asian to her
Yeah,
than
yeah.
this.
Wubba said I say that often. I love working on Cat and Mouse, and Wubba, that hits me right here, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, and Wubba's doing a great job. Can't wait to see more pages.
I can't wait to see Wubba back on the show. Wubba, where are you
Yeah,
at,
I know.
man?
We miss him. An excellent translation of the script. This is when he was talking about what we looked at on the page there. Phil Leon says, "Hey, old peeps, Silverline peeps, a little late,
What's
but I made it. What's
up?
up, Phil?
You want us to start over again, Pete? We can start,
Phil?
we can start at we can start at the beginning.
I'm not sure what he's asking about, unless it was
maybe
page.
I have to draw. Well, I just started the very slow process of flatting. So if it's not boring,
no, put it on there.
put it up.
We didn't see it. And then he says, I wish I'd have made it sooner. This is good stuff. And then he says, I don't use flatters. Yeah, and some of that is what Tommy is saying.
You want to be influenced? Yeah, I think I would be. I don't think I can control myself.
Wubba says, I hid the character we were talking about on a page, Roland. So all right, I got to go back and look through that now to see.
Roberta, so when you flat, are you putting the colors that you normally would put? Like if you just flatten a page and you ran out of time, I know you wouldn't want to turn that page in, but would you go, okay, those are the right colors, it's done?
No.
Oh, okay.
So I will put the right colors. I will, Sorry, I stopped.
That's okay.
Yeah, I'm bad. I flatten it with the colors that I'm going to put in there, and then I go back over and re-render.
The colors I put in are the costume colors and skin tones and that sort of thing, because I do want that at least, easier to work with.
Well, it makes sense because you can start to visualize what it should look like when it's finished. And
I'll say it this way: with the visualization, I need to make those changes in the background colors more than I do in the costumes.
Yeah,
the foreground characters.
Yeah,
there's so many different ways that ought to be a show one day to do this, the different way people color. Like some people like me, when I color stuff now, I'm not a colorer, but I have to when I have to. But I specifically use the color that I'm going to fill the page. Now some people like what she's doing here, where they'll put a bunch of color, just a general tone on stuff. Then they use the dodge and burn to get the colors that they want in there. That's neat when I see people color that way. It's like, I can't do that. I can't, so there's so many different ways.
There's so many ways.
Color. Yeah.
And sometimes you have to decide what way you're going to do it as a colorist too, because you could change process and then make sure that it looks
and some people put a color in an area, then they'll put another layer on top of it that's got the color adjustment on top of there, and then they'll do another one that's got the dodge or the lighten, and then another one that's got the shadow layer. Yeah, I can't do that.
I do that sometimes.
I just do it on the one thing.
It's kind of helpful to do that sometimes.
I know. That way, if you didn't like it, you can just go and erase some of them, and you still got the underlying color there that you can build off of. Yeah, I just can't. I don't have the capability.
Phil said he'd stop in for that, talking about the colors.
Yeah,
you'd be part of the conversation, dude. You would be stopping in. Yeah. Fruitbat says, must change walls into psychedelics from the, what is that?
From the 60s or something?
What is that? TAUPE? Taupe? What kind of color is that?
Taupe is a very.
I guess it's taupe, huh?
Taupe. Taupe.
I've heard the color taupe.
You can get a bunch of do a show to get all the colors on there, and then you can get me on there, the guy that's doing it wrong, and then aggravate everybody. That'd be a good show. That'd be
fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Get Jeremy and everybody. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, and Phil says, I like to mix color techniques: painted, cut and grad, dodge and burn. It just depends. Which I think is the best way to do it, right? You do, and this is what I think. This is the the beauty of computer coloring, digital coloring, is that you
Mhm.
can mix any of those without really messing something up, you know?
Hmm. Except for
Yeah.
the way I do it, where you mess it up and then you just keep going. So that's
Well, the only thing to keep an eye on, which is always difficult, is if this is going to print and it's not digital, there's different concerns for, you don't want it to get too heavy.
yeah.
Yeah. So Roberta, you talked about. I'm gonna go back a little bit because when
Mhm.
you're talking about the team process,
Yeah.
how important is it? Do you think, right, as the colorist, you're kind of the last of the creative, the end of the line there. How important is it that you get your hands on the script as well as the penciler and the inker?
Well, it can help for things that are not as apparent in the,
Art.
in just the art.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of choices I can figure out, but if you have the script, then all of that guesswork is gone. So it can be helpful to say, oh, this is where, that emotion's going. So,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
can kind of change the moods in accordance, and so it can make some changes in your
Yeah.
decisions. Yeah. So it does help, I think.
Yeah, I had the same thing. You remember with the Nightman book, where I because the penciler was
Uh-huh.
so heavy-handed, dark. Everything looked like it was pitch
Mhm.
midnight dark every time. That
Yeah.
the way it was drawn, and it's like, can you ask Steve Englehart to send me the script so I can tell if this is supposed to be outside at noon in the park? Because
Right.
everything looks like it's midnight in the dark, and so that way I can try to help
Mhm.
the script a little bit.
Yep.
And yeah,
I remember that.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, and that's not unusual. I think the whole team needs to know, what's going on.
it wasn't
Um,
my job to draw it or anything. Of course, it's just to ink it, but it's like this is lunchtime, and it looks like it's 11 o'clock at night. What?
midnight at night,
Mhm.
yeah.
It's like,
Well,
Fruitbat
so
says, I checked and Miss Fury it looks like her or Justin Timberlake's wife, who then he says is Jessica Biel.
oh,
oh,
okay, let me
no.
see,
Her?
Jessica
Yeah.
Biel.
Yeah,
Sure. I can
I
see
don't
that a
know.
little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit.
What was it? We could do a penciler special, an inker special, a color special. That's actually a great idea.
Mhm.
I think the challenge for us will be getting a time that works for everybody because we're so spread out in time zones. But yeah, I think that's a great idea. I would love to. I've invited some of our international. Pete's only international that streams with us. But I've invited Alex Sarabia, penciler from Divinity, Louis Tranowski for Kalis, and Leandro from Kalis. Now we've got Jim, and I'm not even going to try to pronounce his last name, who is in Turkey. So
Mhm.
we've got all kinds of time zones here. But I think that's a great idea. I'd love for us to try to do that. Phil says, I love hearing some of Roberta's story of pioneering digital colors in the Malibu days. So cool.
That's cool.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's so unique.
Yeah. I still argue to this day that I think Malibu was very much a pioneer of all things digital and comics. You know,
I think it
um,
did. It
uh,
made it made some decisions, that were unique to them.
Well,
I
you
remember.
definitely pulled it from just everybody going crazy coloring to actually, doing really nice coloring with the computer, and that was a big where I saw a step, and I think that's kind of, when I first was using Photoshop, I was kind of fell in the boat of just doing nutty computer coloring, and then seeing what you guys were doing on the Ultraverse stuff, and it's like, oh, I just need to color this right instead of just trying to throw every single possible
Mhm.
15,000 million colors that you can actually put on a page. And
Doesn't
Yeah.
have to be a rainbow.
yeah, it doesn't.
Right.
No, but
Right.
everybody
Yeah.
was doing it though.
Well, I remember the first time when Marvel bought us, the first time I went to the Marvel offices, they didn't have computers. And at Malibu, every editor had a computer, And I want to say, I can't remember if all of our assistant editors did, but I think they did. I think all the assistant editors had computers, you know. We had an we had internet as well, so we could email stuff back and forth, but we had an in-house emails. I don't even remember what it was called now, but we could send each other messages on the in-house thing. And when we went to Marvel, none of the editors they all had typewriters on their desk, you know.
God, I'm trying to remember the time that I was in their offices. I'm trying to remember. I don't think I remember seeing computers. You're right.
Yeah. And I think it just
crazy. That was in the 90s.
Yeah,
I had a computer. Why didn't they have a computer?
Sorry, this is just the best character. Like the wiggle lines.
Yeah.
Wiggle.
That is so funny.
Yeah. Wubba said, anyone find the Malibu M I snuck in?
Yes, I did. Yeah, she was. It was on the wall in the mansion. Very clever. That was great.
And those are inks from Barb, right?
Say again?
Those are Barb's inks.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes,
it is.
Yep.
Excellent.
This is a Cat and Mouse number 4 that has Wubba is penciling and Barb is inking. So, and obviously we see Roberta coloring it.
And that'll finish the 4th book of that part.
Yes. Yeah. And the cool news is Wubba has already finished the very next issue, which would be a new number 1. So
with some voodoo stuff going on, I hear.
With some voodoo stuff we've teased a little bit. So
now we started that a while back. So I am so excited to get back to that.
Yes. Yeah. We started it, and then this one hit a speed bump, and so we had to kind of put on the brakes. And
there you go.
What's that?
We had plenty of books coming out. So
yep. That's you just shift gears and keep going. So Fruitbat says as of course he's coloring Wolf Hunter, which by the way I didn't listen to last Tuesday to see if Tim made the announcement. Fruitbat, do you know if Tim made the announcement last Tuesday?
Because we're about to run that one, aren't we?
Yes. Yeah.
Cool. I can't wait.
So he says script helps, and then he says notes please, which I'm assuming that he means from the script, and like is this day, night, what mood? And that should all be in the script. If the writer has done his job, that's in the script. To again, this is just one of those little things that you have to equip the artist, right? And anytime I hear a writer saying that he's upset about the something an artist has done, that's usually my first question. And my first question is, well, did you tell them to do that? You know, because they're not going to know if you want this thing. If you don't tell them, they're not going to know. They can't read. They are super talented, but they can't read your mind, you know? And so if you want lots of color holds, right? You got to tell them, I like color holds.
Please put more color holds.
Right. Yeah. Wubba says hit a lot of speed bumps. Yeah, it's true. Y'all, I just looked at the clock and it is 9:38. And as we're trying to keep these now to an hour and a half, that means we've hit our time. Yeah.
Wow. That went by quicker than I thought.
Flown by. Were you nervous, Roberta?
A little bit. It's okay. I was yelling too much, I think. Or I feel like I was, because I found out that I had the volume of you guys turned up all the way. I couldn't figure out where it was. So like
we thought you were. One sent me a note going, "Why is she yelling so loud?" And I'm like, "I don't know, man. I don't know."
So do you still have items on your list, Roberta?
Items to color?
No. To talk about for Roberta Says.
Well, I could.
So
if I could go real quick, yes.
Oh, well, I was going to say hold them, and we'll do this again.
A part 2.
Yes. Are you good with that?
I could do that.
Yes. Hold them.
Yeah, because I made a note saying now that I know what this was supposed to be about, I've got some stuff. We need to circle back around.
That's why, I told you. Of course, you were the first one, but I told you to begin with. I said, dude.
No, I thought you wanted me to host the whole show, and I'm like, oh, I'm not prepared to
No.
hold the. I didn't know what we were
Not
talking about.
host, just kind of come up with the
Come up with
topics
some
for us to
silly
talk
stuff. Yeah,
about.
no, no, I thought I was supposed to, and I'm like, no, I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
Next time, I'm
Phil,
ready now.
Phil has posted a question there, but I'm gonna make him wait until the next time. So, because it sounds like it could be a color question that takes us down a rabbit hole. So,
And plus, I'd like to hear from Peter Clinton too.
yes,
On some of his
Mhm.
process decisions.
right, yeah. So, we will not next week. Now, BJ has, for those of you who noticed, we had this cool image.
Yeah.
Yes, for this week. And so BJ is doing a lot of that and creating a lot of those. And she's like, you guys got to get on a schedule. You have to tell me what you're talking about so we can promote it. This is all about promoting what we're talking about. And so next week is already set in stone, but I don't remember what it was.
Can I ask you
That's funny.
what Roland says? It's not.
No, it's black and white versus color.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah, black and white versus color, and then next week we can come back and we'll call it Roberta Says again.
That's fine. Okay.
How's that?
Finish it up. Part 2.
Yeah, part 2. So
Right.
yeah, because this was fun. And we also, the other thing is we got some good questions.
Yeah,
listening around.
definitely.
Yeah, we started off with the Royal Airships laid a great one on us for us
it's really good.
to get started. So so there's been some really good questions from you guys listening, and we really appreciate that. That helps us, right? It helps us have these conversations that we can go.
And then we got to do a live Rubik's Cube solve on air.
That's funny.
Yeah, I can do it now. I can do one in about a minute.
So don't forget to hit the like button, share, and subscribe. Let's see here. Go away. So Tommy, where can folks find you on the interwebs?
Just go into the Googles and type Thomas Flormonte. I always spell it because y'all always get it wrong. It's FLORIMONTE, and you'll find me everywhere. Or go to Inferno Studios, Inferno like the fire. Oh, I hear some music.
Ooh.
I just spotted this on StreamYard, so I'm like, what does this do?
That's pretty cool. I like it. We can have some good music playing in the background. That's cute. But I'm mostly on Facebook, and then if you need any help with your printing needs, go to kablam.com. It's with a dash in there, and there it is on my head. Kablam! And we'll help you out. I think we're finally coming out of this paper shortage. We're still a little bit behind, but it's starting to flow. I think they're cutting more trees down or something. I don't know how that works, but yeah, we're the interior paper is now coming back in, and now it's just cover stocks that we're having problems with. So we'll get it.
Excellent. That is good to hear.
Yeah.
And Roby, what about you? Where can folks find you on the interwebs?
You can look for Roberta Conroy on Facebook and Instagram, and that's the best place to find me, or on Silver Sunday.
Nice.
Yeah.
And the same for me. You can find me on all the social medias as Roland Man, or sometimes it's Man Roland. But Sunday nights here. I will be at Olo next week, but I will be back in time for the stream. So we are going to talk about black and white versus color next week. And until then, you guys pay attention. We have a new closing bumper. Okay, so you got to watch. All right. So, but until next week, Tommy, are you ready?
Man, I'm getting my guy.
Yeah, I know you're. Until next week, remember to
Silver
line.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Hey, I'm Alex Savier. I just want to let you know, make mine Silver Line.